what I was going to do tonight was talk about how to make these French rolling pins, because I have a son who is into cooking and told me he wanted one. So I decided I'd make a few and send them to him, and he can decide which one he likes the best. And I thought I'd make them really nice so that he could be proud of his dad making them. I made him a cutting board that I think I showed you guys.
Yeah.
So these were cut-offs from that cutting board. There were 2 different glue-ups I did. And what I did here is I put some of the wood that's in the checkerboard part, glued it onto the outside, and then turned it to have that effect. Okay, so there's one, there's another, monkeying around. These ones are just, they're kind of plain. And when I looked up online to see what the dimensions should be for these French rolling pins, there was everything from, around 8 to 10 inches long and 3/4 of an inch in diameter, all the way up to 2 1/4 inches in diameter and 26 inches long. And they said it depends on the person using it, what they like, and it also depends on what they're rolling up. If they're doing pastry or small things, they'll pick and choose which one they want to use. And they said that most chefs have multiples of them, different sizes. So that's why I made a bunch of different sizes. And I'll just send them all to him, and he can do whatever he wants with them.
He's gonna owe you a couple of nice pies if you give him more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's pretty good at cooking, so. But to dress them up, I put what they call a Celtic knot in the ends of these, just to make it look nice. I like that design, I like that effect, and it's pretty easy to do. And what I'll do is I'm going to show you basically what you have to do to incorporate that into your blank. And then the fun happens when you put it on the lathe and you get to see it reveal itself. It's kind of cool. Now, I did this a number of years ago, and I used a bandsaw to make the cuts in the wood to insert the pieces of wood into my blank. What I did this time is I used my table saw, because I have one. But you can use whatever you want. If you have a bandsaw, use it. If you have a table saw, use it. If you have a miter box and a handsaw, use that. They all will work. Because being super accurate isn't critical. It's just having a nice straight cut so that the 2 surfaces mate back together. That's the most important part. So the key part in this that is critical and makes it easiest to lay up is that your blank needs to be square. And the more perfectly square is, the easier life will be doing this glue up. And the more accurate it will come out when you turn it, okay? So the angle, again, that this is cut at isn't particularly critical. The more angle you have, in other words, if I would have cut this at 45 degrees instead of 25, it would have meant that this knot would be larger on the wood. Okay.
What's the biggest diameter of those you've ever done? You've done something like 8
I've
inches
done
or-
stuff out to about 6 inches. The problem with it, when you get out to 6 inches, is it doesn't have that same effect that it does on the smaller diameters, where it looks complicated. It looks rather simple. So what you need to do on larger pieces is add more sides. In other words, make a hexagon or an octagon out of your square, and then use that to do your cuts and add more pieces of wood. So, first thing to do is get your blank, figure out how long you want it to be, and the first time you do this, in order to get your technique down, I suggest using something that you don't care if you erode, because the first time you do it, you probably will. I did. Also, figuring out the angle. is totally dependent on how you want it to look when it's done. I did this one as practice, and the angle that I cut those on was 18 degrees. And I decided that was too tight. So I went up to 25 degrees, and that's what all of these were done at, okay? Now, if you go, say, to 35 or 45, it'll make that pattern much wider. But I've never tried going out that far, right? For anything, everything I do has been in this range. So once you get that cut and it's nice and square, you want to find yourself some blocks of wood that you can use to clamp this together, because you're going to clamp it like that, because you're going to clamp it between here and here to hold this together, so that when you clamp it this way to put pressure on the piece of wood you're going to put in there, so that it doesn't drive itself apart like that. Because when you clamp it, it's going to want to do this, right? So if you clamp it here and here, then apply the pressure, it'll stay straight, and it'll keep this all aligned. And it'll keep everything on center, okay? Then you
So
need,
you want your clamp to be the same dimension as your block that you're turning?
well, yeah, it needs to be big enough to go across here. I used 2 of them, and then 1 to go this way, okay? And so this is just a practice piece to show you. So if I was making one this size, my clamp would obviously have to be that long. And then my wood, what I did is I used 2 long sticks of wood to clamp it between. And I clamped it here, 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 and here.
Well, my question was the same square, the same dimension, not length, but width, thickness of.
Oh, the width?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. It makes it easier if it is.
Okay.
Yes. Doesn't have to be, but it definitely makes things line up easier. Yeah. And make sure you can do it on a surface that you don't mind getting glue on the table, because you're going to get glue all over the place. It's messy. The next thing that you have to do is you have to make your pieces that are going to go in here to make these knot pieces look right. So what's important with these pieces is pick a thickness that you can manufacture accurately in your shop. Or go visit a friend that has a thickness planer or a drum sander that can make them for you down to the thickness that you want. And you can make them really thin, you know, like these ones, that are about a 1/16 of an inch, right? Or you can go, what I did, and I did ones that were about 1/8 of an inch thick, just because I wanted them to be very visible. But you can go even thinner and just use veneer if you want. They're a little bit harder to see, so you may want to stack up a couple of veneers in order to do it. But you can get pretty creative. Now what you want to do when you get this glued up is you take your piece of wood that you're going to put in here, and you need to make it so that it fits in between here and in between these blocks that you're going to use to clamp.
Okay, so you do angled edges on that.
So I did angled edges because for me that's easy to do. You can just make it a little bit narrower and sacrifice some of your diameter.
What does that mean, angled edges?
So if you look at these,
Trapezoid.
the edges on here,
Oh, I see.
see how they're on an
Oh,
angle?
I
So it's got a bevel on it.
They're
This is for-
beveled at 25 degrees.
Stuart, you don't really need to, you just turn this all the way.
Yeah, you're going to turn it all the way. But it just makes it
Just
go together easier when you're gluing it up. You don't have to do this part.
Well, then,
A bunch of extra steps.
if you don't, there will be spaces on the edge and they'll fill up with glue and they'll be dry.
Well,
When you squeeze it, it'll squeeze into that opening.
yeah, and then what happens when you're turning this down, you lose some of your diameter if you don't have wood run right out to the edge. You'll have to go down past that in order to get to the wood to reveal what you want. So all you're doing by doing that, and that's why I did this, was I like to give myself as much margin for error because I screw up a lot. And that's just the way I like to do it. You don't have to do that part, but if you do, I just made a little block that I can hold the wood on, and then I use a little hand plane that I thought I brought with me, but I don't know where to put it. And you just swipe that down here and make that angle. And again, it's not critical. You just want it to drop in there and fit between those two pieces of wood. Okay?
Have you waxed or put a mold release on those two side blocks?
So, great question. Next thing you do is you put wax on all, I just wax all sides of them so they don't stick, because otherwise they'll glue to your blank, which you don't want. So yeah, I wax the outside of all of these so that the glue doesn't stick. Put lots of glue on here. Remember, this is end grain, so the glue you put on here is going to get sucked into the wood. Put lots on. Let it sit for a couple minutes if you're using tight bond or wood glue, or even if you decide you want to use epoxy or some kind of fiberglass resin, which you can do.
Or urethane glue?
Or urethane glue. Yeah, just let it get a chance to go into that wood, and you, if necessary, come back to it and add more, and then put glue on both surfaces here on your piece. It's going to fit in the middle. Okay.
You would use the Type Bond 3, the waterproof?
So normally the answer would be yes, because you're going to get it wet. However, in my experience of turning, I have of making stuff out of wood that gets glued up. I found that Type Bond 3 really stains and marks cherry badly when you use it to glue on cherry. It leaves a really nasty brown mark on the wood that you can't get rid of, and it doesn't allow you to hide the joint at all. So on cherry, I don't, but all the other stuff I use Type Bond.
So what do you use on the cherry?
I use original Type Bond.
Okay.
Yeah, the red one. The red one or the blue one, Type Bond 2. But Type Bond 3, it's really brown, and it just bleeds out into the wood like a Sharpie almost, and stains it. I made a lot of those lamps that I make. I made a lot of those, and I could never figure out why my joints look so crappy. And then I tried using different glue, and it was boom, problem solved. Yeah. So when you make these pieces, make sure you make enough, because you're going to use 4 of them for each knot. Make enough so that they're all exactly the same thickness. I normally do them in a stick like that, and then it's all the same thickness, and I cut pieces off and trim the sides to fit in. And I used, in this one that I'm going to do tonight, I put wingay in there. I think there's some cherry, some padauk, and I believe this is maple, bird's eye maple. Not that you're ever going to see that, but it's what was.
But it turns nice.
They see one.
It's what I happen to have. And what I did with this one is I glued it up that way so that you could see what it looked like as a blank when it was all completed, and then we'll turn it and pass it around, and you'll be able to see how the knot forms after you turn it. Yes, sir.
Question on the thickness.
Sure.
Obviously, you want some dimension to it, but does it matter if it's bigger, or obviously you don't want it smaller because or thinner, but is there a 1/4 inch, 3/16?
I've never
3/8?
done, this is the thickest I've ever done.
And that's
and that's probably 1/8
An
inch.
1/8 of an inch,
Yeah,
okay.
but normally the commercial, when you buy veneer at a regular veneer place these days,
It's a fletch, it's in the
It's-
64ths.
yeah, it's, yeah, 1/40th of an inch
Yeah.
thick. It's like see-through. Now, there's some older ones that are a little bit thicker, they're like a 32nd, and noticeably thicker. And I tried using those in the past, and it wasn't very visible.
So if you went thicker, what would it do to the Celtic knot? Would it elongate it? Would it change the look of it? If
I
you
think what
went
it does is, depending on the angle that you choose, it could start looking a little cartoonish almost.
thicker? Okay,
That would be my guess. Like if I made these thicker, the little diamonds that are in here get smaller, and I think it would start to disappear. You'd have to use a much higher
Thicker.
angle
and a thicker piece of,
and maybe a
Bigger
larger
block.
piece of wood.
got it.
Yeah.
So it's going to be relative to
Right.
dimensionally the size of
Yes.
what you're turning?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, where I first saw this is my father was a woodworker, and he got into turning pens because his buddy wanted to learn how to turn pens. So he said, well, that's not really wood turning, but okay, I'll teach you. And he had a bunch of pens that he made that I found after he passed away, and they had all these Celtic knots in the top of them, around the band at the top, and they were gorgeous. And so I went online to figure out how to make them, because it was beyond me, I couldn't figure it out.
It's cool design.
It's,
I mean,
and it's so simple.
Have you ever done one like on the top of the lid to a piece or in the bottom?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I'm gonna try. Yeah. There was an article in American Wood Turner, either this month or last month, about a guy who glues up bowls to get all kinds of
Swirls,
funky
yeah.
lines in them, yeah.
Well, I've actually done a goblet with the nut. It is a little bit larger, and I turn the inside to the beginning of the pattern.
Yeah.
So it actually looks very cool on the outside and on the inside.
And, so yeah, if you look
You
at,
get a totally different look.
oh, yeah,
Because it's got a bow shape to it,
yes.
so it looks really nice on the inside too.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, because what's cool is this, and I'll pass this around, it goes right through. So
Yeah.
if you hold it up to the light, you can actually see the light shining through the light colored wood. Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Yep, okay. So, make sure you make enough of this so that you've got 4 pieces for each knot that you're gonna do.
Make more.
Make extra in case you have an
Hospitalize.
accident or an opportunity, or you want to be selective about the piece of wood you're using, whatever your, floats your boat. Consider doing different kinds of wood. Sandwich, 2 dark woods on the outside of a light colored piece of wood, and see what that looks like. That might be a cool glue up,
Never thought about that.
I did that on one that I gave away that was on a small vase. It looked really good.
How do you deal with the grain of the insert in between? You're running it in grain, I'm sure, on your.
Yeah, so for this project, it's in grain, and usually anything you're doing this with, whether it's a rolling pin or a little vase like this, it's always gonna be end grain, the
And so what
long.
about your inserts?
So, it's a good question. Because I make these out of boards that I have, and cut them on the bandsaw,
Your
and then dimension them, and get them smooth using the drum sander, you end up cutting these and inserting them like this, so the grain's gonna be going this way. And as long as you do that the same, it'll come out looking the way these ones did. I tried to think about what would happen if you tried to do it any differently, and I think it still is, no matter what, it's always gonna look like that. So, the gluing up process, get all the glue on there, get these clamps on here to hold it in place.
Right now, you're just snugging it up enough to hold it.
Just enough to hold it. Because you're gonna put another clamp on here yet. Glue, 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 glue. Squeeze it together by hand and just let it sit. Go have a coffee for 2 minutes or do 3 more. And then come back to it. Just check it and make sure there's lots of glue on the surfaces, and if there's not, put some more on, and then clamp it together, push it together, and then just take your other clamp, like so, and squeeze it. It doesn't need a ton of pressure, you just want to hold it. Glue's going to squeeze out like crazy on the bottom. Make sure your stick made it all the way to the bottom, and if it didn't, take your hammer and tap it down. Might have to loosen your clamps up a bit, but do that check and make sure it got all the way down.
And you recommend doing it like on wax paper?
You could, yeah. I just do it, I've got a workbench. It's a wooden workbench.
Now, the blank you're gonna twirl, did you glue both ends at the same time?
I did,
Okay, so you got 2 clamps over here, 2 here.
clamps here,
1
2
long
clamps
one in
here.
between.
yeah. And I just used one long caul here and another caul here to clamp between, like I did this, the whole thing.
Stuart, can we see the blank before you cut?
Yes, I'll pass it around, I promise. So what I do when I'm making my cuts, so this is a blank that's nice and square, you can see, super square. I'll attest that it's square to within a 32nd of an inch at least. Maybe a
That's
60,
square enough.
maybe a 64th. In woodworking, it's good enough. If I were a machinist, I'd probably get fired.
You want
Well, these days, you're actually gonna get hired. You can get anything within a 30-second range.
Wow, that's
Yeah, it's
terrible.
horrible.
That's terrible. So what you do, figure out how far in from the end you want these to be, and just mark around here. You can use a ruler that's got a thing on like this, and you can mark it all the way around. And that's where you're going to line it up with your saw blade to make your cut, to get your angle in here, okay? And that's just so you get them all lined up the same, so that it comes out looking even when you're done. So because you have to do this 4 times. This glue up, once it's glued up and dried, you're gonna go clean that all up, you're gonna rotate it, and then you're gonna make another cut there, and then another one there, and the final one.
It's always on the angle, the cuts are always on the angle.
Always on the same angle, yeah. 4 cuts. So what it looks like when you're done is it looks like it has 2 lines and an X on each side.
Fully confused. So you take that thing, the piece that you've already put the slanting piece in,
Yep,
and then you cut it again.
yeah. So what you do is when the glue's dry, once it's set up after 3 or 4 hours, you can go and cut this off. Take it out of here, cut that off, smooth, and then you take a little block of sandpaper and you sand it so it's smooth, because you're going to put it back on your saw to cut it, and you want it to line up nice and straight like it did originally, okay? And that's why we use these clamps, to make sure everything stays straight. So you'll cut that piece off, and then what you'll do is, instead of, when we cut this one, we cut it like this and ran it through the saw, because the blade was tilted at this angle. So now what you're gonna do the next time, you rotate it, you have your mark on here, and you're gonna run it through and make an angled cut like this through it.
Okay, so you angled your blade instead of angling like a miter's square.
You can use a miter sled if you want. It's easier for me to turn the blade at an angle.
Okay.
Yeah, but you can do it either way.
So,
Whatever
and then
way
you're
works for
cutting the pieces sticking up right now, they're gonna get cut in half and
Yes.
split apart.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay. Got
yeah,
it.
you're gonna do that
And
4
do it
times.
again.
Got it.
For each end, 2 for each end.
And then if you're doing it on each end of the pin, that's 8 cuts that you have to make. And 8 pieces of wood that have to get glued in.
Do
And you
all-
can do 2 at a time.
All the cuts take place at the exact same distance from the ends?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly, yeah. Yeah, that's why you mark this, so that's the mark that you reference to line up where the cut starts.
And then
Okay?
just rotate it from that.
And then you just rotate it, absolutely. So if you're gonna use a miter gauge, you would put it in the miter gauge, and the blade is here, and you'd run it through and cut it off on an angle.
So you're rotating it 180 degrees?
90,
Or just not?
90 at a time.
Yeah.
And
and then 90, and then 90, and then back to home.
Laura, stick with the epoxy.
Yeah, I'm so confused. Wow, I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I have an idea
Speaking
for an
of miter
epoxy
saw.
one of these that we can do, that I wanna
I'd be
try.
happy to help you with that.
I think Stuart needs to do a one-on-one
But
at the shop, teaching us how to do this.
I could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we have all the tools out there at the shop,
Do
and
we
we could
though?
do it multiple.
We got a table, so that's all we need.
we do have a table saw.
There's
Yeah.
a table saw
And a
and there's a
miter
It's a
bandsaw.
bandsaw too.
Yes.
And you can do it with a hand miter box.
Yeah, and
I
you
don't
don't,
even know what
and
that
if you
is,
cut
so-
this with a bandsaw, you don't, it's smooth enough.
Yeah.
By the time you put glue on there,
glue
and the
fills
wood
up.
fibers swell up and everything gets clamped, it's pretty happy.
What about chop saw?
You can use chop saw, yeah.
Yeah, that's easy to
Mm-hmm.
crank those
We've
angles.
got one of those at the shop too.
That we can't use.
I was just gonna say.
Why not?
Maybe Stuart can use it.
We'll
I
get
don't
special
know.
permission
It's
from the
broken.
owner. It's
It's
broken.
broken. Do
We'll
not
take off
use.
the broken side and just use it, yes. And a planer too.
Yes, and a jointer,
No,
Yeah,
the
and a
planer is
joiner.
not for use for the club,
Ah,
because it got broken. so
Same
many
as the
times.
joiner. But I did try it out, it worked very well.
The other day, he came out and he's like, where did this come from on the joiner? And I'm like, it's yours. And he goes, it is? But I don't remember it being white. I'm like, it got fixed, Igor repaired it for you. It is yours.
Well, it
He was like
was
so
white.
shocked.
To begin with.
It
No,
was
green.
white.
It
Yeah.
was green.
No, it was
Oh,
white.
it
it
was?
just had so much crap on it.
There's
Why
so
is it-
much dirt on it.
He was like, he didn't even know.
Yeah.
Okay, so pass these around and take a look. And ask any questions that you have as they go
Now
around.
that light colored one there, are all the lines the same color dark wood?
That one, yeah, it's all ball
So I can see on your little vase, you got the different colors in there.
Well, so that's because of the end grain, side grain of ash
Okay.
4 times.
that makes it look like that, yeah.
Okay, Stuart.
Mhm.
This one and this.
Yes.
Oh,
oh.
I think
Now
I
you
see.
got it.
I think I see. All right, it took a moment. I
It's
get it.
okay.
It's okay, it's
Hey,
geometry.
we've all been
I've never
there.
seen that looks like a straight. It's
All
not.
been there.
They
Believe
should
me,
have
I
got
couldn't
the
figure it out on
staccato.
my own.
It looks like it's
So let's
straight.
count.
That's why he does the angle here.
Yeah.
That's why he puts the angle there, so it
Got it.
appears flat, right?
Yes,
Gotcha.
So it appears flat. I
And when you make it
understand.
round, it curves.
I got it.
So that's what you make the trapezoidal shape with the little shooting board.
yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
Got it. There you go, sir.
yeah, you can use sandpaper if you want to do that too, that'll work. It doesn't have to be fancy, I just happen to have those tools.
Can you just go back for 1 second?
Uh-huh,
So when you're saying this is your starting point,
that's your
right?
reference, yeah,
So this first cut, the angle's like this, the top goes here,
yep,
then the top goes here,
Ends of the
lining
same
up
line.
with this.
yes,
Always, no matter where, you want the top of your cut at that line.
yes.
Got it. Okay.
Yep, that's exactly
So
right.
that measurement never changed, and you do it on 4 sides?
On 4 sides, right.
But that measurement does change because you glue a piece of wood in, so your end actually
Yeah.
grows every time.
Here it grows.
So you can't measure from the end. That's why you have to have that line.
Yeah,
You have
put
to
it right
mark
there.
it,
For
right,
your
it
reference.
makes
That
sense.
line has to be on all 4 faces?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you make that
Yeah, you
first
want to
cut,
do that
glue a piece of
before
wood
you
in it,
start.
the
Yeah.
end just
Yeah.
no longer the same.
It becomes a reference
That's
point.
right.
Got
that
it.
format.
That makes sense.
Right.
Now I get it.
Got it.
Still not doing it, but I get it. Not happening. Like pens.
So Stuart, when you cut the veneer on the bandsaw, how do you thickness it?
I use, so if it's an 1/8 of an inch down to about a 1/16, I can run it through my planer. Or you can make a little fixture like this with some boards on either side.
Right, and
That
hand plane it?
guide your planing, you can use your hand plane to do it. That's one way, if you don't have a planer.
You could do it with a belt sander.
You can do it with
If you
a,
had it in a jig.
yeah, you could probably do it with a belt sander. The thing is, you just want them to be flat. You want these surfaces to be parallel, and you want the thickness to be uniform for the 4 pieces on each end. You want them to be the same. So what I did, like these, I use these 4 kinds of wood. Oh, there it is. And if you look at these are all,
There's a considerable amount of prep to this.
A lot.
oh yeah,
A lot, yes.
yeah, it's like.
But you could do like a long
It's
piece
like
that you
making a
could have
pen, so
it
just
to
take
cut
those
up.
and pass them around, but you see, they're all relatively the same thickness, okay?
Or you just go to Stuart's house.
And what drove my size is I
This is what
had,
I would do.
I had a lot of pieces that were an 1/8 inch thick left over from making some cutting boards that I had of extras that I made of my stock, so that's what I used.
Or Igor.
Because you don't ever throw this wood away, it's far too expensive if you have to buy it. And you can do probably 2 to 3 of these rotations in one day.
Right, it takes a long time in
Yeah.
between. There are a lot of.
When I glued these up, it took me 3 days because I did 7 or 8 others at the same time, and they're already gone, because as I started making them, people came by and said, oh, I like that, I'd like one. And so now they have them.
I mean, my Colorado house could certainly use one, I don't know.
That's the difference right there.
So the last thing that you have to do
Like this, it's
is
so
you have to mark
meticulous. I'll have to-
mark the center on
I
there
mean, maybe some
after you're done all your gluing. And so you just go ahead and make that
These
mark.
are, they're beautiful.
And then what I do
And
to make it easy to align on the lathe is I use an awl
I'm just gonna think about where you're saying.
and make a pre-hole in the end, right on the center, so that it's easy for these tips to get aligned with my old guys sometimes.
Do you do all of this in between
He's very
centers?
specific.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
has like a whole skill set. that-
You could probably make it extra long and put one end in a chuck, but I was trying to keep it symmetrical.
He's got all of his dad's planing tools. He's got a whole collection. Terrible, I know. My friend, he came from shop this weekend, and I'm like, I'm really sorry. I'm at it now. Right, right, you have to move that up and down a million times. How do you make it so that it's like, this is gonna be a silly question, but
Taper?
no, but like, you have to move that tool rest up and down, so you're not having like a consistent long cut, and how are you making sure it's like perfectly the diameter is perfect as you go along.
Practice.
Practice.
Sure.
Oh my God,
Get a
it's-
longer tool rest.
I just looked at this tool rest and went, oh crap, that's kind of short.
Yeah.
Oh, bad. Tiny bit.
Just
So-
a bit.
So what we'll do is,
Just turn one end.
we'll make it round. The idea is you make it round, the whole thing, and then you taper it.
Yeah.
And let's do that and we can see what it looks like.
And the one on your arm is easier, you know, you get all here, right? You don't cut anything. No cutting involved.
Yeah, they didn't have to cut my arm off 4 times.
With the body.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can see it's starting to take a little bit of shape, so we'll keep going.
But sometimes you just talk about the challenge of doing, right? 100%.
I had no idea
Yeah.
what this was about.
And then they're like, oh, I'm not gonna spend that much money.
Stuart, how fast are you turning right
Huh?
now? How fast are you turning right
It's in the middle range, so you want, when you do these spindles, you really want it to be turning about 3,000. But this lathe at 3,000 has no torque whatsoever. So I've got it down probably at 1,200.
My dog.
Your dog's calling you?
See, it's starting to get a little bit better. And I purposely made it with 4 different colors of wood so you can see it. Better? When I picked the wood, I wasn't thinking about this lathe. I could have chose a softer wood. It would have been a little bit easier.
That's for a bigger lathe.
I'm wondering.
Well, that length, yeah. I moved a bunch.
That comes sales then.
Getting round.
Yeah.
That's-
See, it's starting to take shape.
Stuart, the darker wood one line seems thinner than the rest. Is that
It
just,
is.
seems that way or it is thinner?
No, it is, because I didn't pick a very good, I didn't pick the right piece.
But it actually looks kind of interesting, the different thicknesses.
Yeah,
Now, I'm curious what it would look like if you make them all different thicknesses on purpose.
that could be kind of cool.
Probably be kind of interesting.
Mess
That's what
around
their
with,
demo
yeah.
next month is.
Too late to sign up for next month already. I got that for you for that.
Did I say what I was doing? Your choice.
Here we go. Almost there, but you can see all the little pieces of wood. They look like a knot now.
So,
That one piece that you set around, you could really see the chatoyance
Yes,
in the, that curly maple.
yeah,
That's really cool.
yeah.
I'm sure with some more finish on it.
So, yeah, what I do on anything that I make, especially the turnings, when the wood's nice like that, is I'll sand it all the way up to 1,000. And it just makes all of that beauty that's in the wood come out.
Pop out.
Yeah. The trick is, you spend all your time on that 60 and the 80 grit, getting rid of all your tool marks and all of the shape that you need to refine because you didn't get it with your tools. And then the rest of the grits is just a case of
Take out
touching
the
it to
sanding
it
marks.
and getting rid of the marks and working your way up.
Yeah.
When you get done, I would sand this. I brought a stack of sandpaper. We won't do that tonight, but I would start with 80 grit on here, go to 120, 180, 320, 600, 800, 1,000. And then I would put,
Stuart, I'm sorry, do you ever use sanding sealer on stuff like this?
not on the food stuff, no,
No, not on this stuff.
no. The only reason is it comes off with water.
Oh. I didn't know.
Yeah, sanding sealer is alcohol is the solvent, and so water will mark it and deteriorate it.
Okay.
And that's what they
Turns
sometimes
milky.
spray on food and fruit. If they don't have wax, they use shellac.
Soak in as well, if you do put sanding sealer.
This won't, no, right. But if it's for food, and it's gonna be used regularly, or if it's a side grain cutting board, I use this stuff. They sell it at Lowe's and Home Depot, I think. I bought it at Lowe's. It's Howard Butcher Block Conditioner.
Perhaps it probably sells it too.
Yeah, and all it is it's mineral oil and beeswax. That's, so you can make your own if you want.
And it's food safe.
Yes.
What happens at the end after you turn it down with the little holes where you're?
So what I do is I
Put
have,
diamonds in there.
you can put diamonds in there if you want,
Sure.
depending on who you are. Once this is tapered and you get down to the end, I cut it off back about 1/4 inch.
But then you got the other,
Well, you don't cut it all the way off. You get really close.
okay.
And then you go on this end and you get really close. You sand it and then you cut it off.
Okay.
And this end you catch it before it hits and marks it. And then you take a little saw afterwards and you cut the tail off and then you just sand it by hand. You gotta sand both ends anyway.
Okay.
Sand it by hand, and that way you don't have a little hole in the end.
So for the front row independent, how far out is it the same, or is it tapered from the center down?
So some of them, some people like them flat in the center, and some people like them to be tapered from here. So they'll have a crown a slight crown here, and then they taper off a lot in the last part where you're
So it
hitting.
doesn't really matter.
It's up to the individual and what you're using. Yeah, there's an incredible amount of information on the internet about this stuff.
Yeah.
You go 15 minutes of reading and I knew way more than I ever thought I needed to know.
But I was down in Miami at the big Fairchild show, and a chef came in and commissioned one of the guys to make a Barolo pen. He wanted this big around and that, and then he had it engraved in it in reverse. So when he wrote out the pie dough tops,
Oh, yeah,
his name would be on top of the
on
pie.
top of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, that gives me
I
an
think
idea.
they did it. I think they did it on both sides too.
Yeah,
But,
oh, that's.
that was pretty cool.
What's the geeky shop, not geeky, but in New York on, that sells cooking goods, cooking utensils?
Epicurean?
Sur La Table. And they have those made to order
Oh, do they
that you
really?
can get with the embossing on it.
Yeah,
So that when you roll out your dough, you
Yeah.
can get your emblem or your initials or whatever.
cool.
Okay, so are you good? Yeah?
Good.
Okay, thank
Everybody's
you.
good, I'm good. So we'll